Now, Americans, there are three things that Africans cannot understand about the United States. Three things. When Africans look at the US and when they look at Americans and when Americans come in our country, there are three things we cannot understand about the US. Thing number one, unemployment. That someone is in America and they have no work. And when you open blogs, you hear news and you hear that Americans are struggling to find work. Americans, people in the United States, one of the most powerful countries, in fact, the most powerful country in the world, a superpower, a country that sells the American dream. You know, when we Africans, the country that we aspire to go to, we are always looking for visas to go to the United States. When we hear that there are Americans who are struggling to find work, we wonder, it is strange, you know, we get confused. We ask ourselves, is this the America we are dreaming of? A lot of Africans, and especially Kenyans, when they go to the US, immediately they reach there, we see them taking photos with cars. We see them taking photos saying that they have found a job. We see them saying they are maybe a nanny or maybe a CNA or anything. So we assume that everybody in America should be working. We have never heard of someone who went to the US and said they have no work. If you have ever heard of anybody who went to the US and said they have no work, please comment down below and tell me. For all the people who have gone to the US, the people that I know, nobody has ever reached the US and said that he has no work. So when we read that there are people in America that have no work, and we hear from CNN that the job situation in the country is getting complicated, and sometimes we hear some people say that they have looked for work for some 3 months, now they are giving up. In the United States of America, it is something we will never understand. It is something we don't understand. But some of us who read about the structural barriers in the US, like job openings in Ohio and someone is in Texas, so some of us understand some of those things. But just generally, that someone in the US does not have work, it is something that we Africans cannot understand. We don't understand that you can be in the United States of America and have no job. Another thing that we cannot understand is someone being homeless in a superpower. We read and we see that some people in the United States have no houses. Again, if people who go to the US from Kenya and they are lying to us that they always get houses, sometimes we need to understand some of those things. We've never heard that someone got out of this country, gone to the US, and then became homeless. But you read things, you see news, and you see all over that there are homeless Americans. You see people on the streets, people begging. You see people, they don't have income. First of all, unemployment, I addressed it, and we always wonder why there are jobs in McDonald's all over. People should be working and they have no work. So in addition to that, we find that they cannot afford a house in the United States of America. Do you know why most Africans wonder? It's not me wondering, it's a lot of Africans who wonder about it. This land where I'm taking this video, you see this place where I'm taking this video, it's my ancestral land, inherited. Now, in this land, I have built a house that I fully own. I fully own the house. I don't pay taxes to the property. I fully own that house. Now, when you hear that in the superpower, in the richest country in the world, people can live on the streets, people can be homeless, people don't have houses, people don't have homes. And you wonder, is this a superpower? Is this the land where the American dream is sold? You know, we wonder because we see in news. But what confuses us is we have never seen anybody, the people that at least we know, go to the US and say we are homeless, we are in the streets. If they are lying to us, maybe we should know. But they are not lying, because when these people go to the US, they truly send money and they say, I have bought a house, I have paid for the house, you know, or I'm still paying for the house. Or if he wants to take a loan, you hear him say that I want to use my house equity. They mention something to do with equity. You see, all of them when they go to the US. And you hear that there are people who stay in the US, they have no homes, they have no houses. And that's when you start understanding, oh, so I am blessed. I am in a place where I can have a house and stay in my own house and nobody can chase me from this house. And there's somebody in a superpower who completely has no house, has nowhere to call home. In a superpower, superpower where fighter jets cost a lot of money and the country spends a lot of money in wars, and you just wonder what's happening. And another thing we usually wonder is that you have a car and you are poor. You have a car and you are poor. How? In our country, a car is a luxury. Anybody who owns a car is a person of means. And although there are people who are struggling, but it shows that their income is good. If you can service a car, you can fuel a car, you can repair your car when it gets broken down, it means that you are doing well in this economy. So when we hear that there are people in the US who have cars, they sleep in cars, they are poor, we usually wonder what's happening. This is something that is confusing. It's quite confusing. And when you look at the car, by the way, go and look at people who stay in cars. Those cars are very good. The paint is good. The car in the inside, the car is good. It means that the car costs a lot of money, and this person could afford the car. So how come you are living in a car and you are poor? Some of us who know how to investigate this, again, we understand that cars are quite cheaper in the US compared to Kenya because of the taxes that government imposes on those cars, and accessibility to a car to a normal person in this country is quite hard. That is why only a few people own cars. But to an average African, when they look at people in the US living in a car, you are living in a luxury, and you say you are poor and struggling, that you cannot afford a house. By the way, let me tell you, it is easier to build a house in Africa than it is to own a car. Do you know that? Most houses that we live in, they don't cost the amount of buying a car. So we live in houses that are cheaper than cars, and we fully own those houses in our lands. But in the US, it is easier to own a car than to buy a house. So you can live in a car, something that can never happen in this country. You will never hear that a Kenyan is living in a car, except for a certain comedian called Tumbili who tried to live in a car. I think he was just trying to impress some people, just trying to be funny because he's a comedian, to live in a car. But in this country, affording a house is much cheaper than affording a car. So we usually wonder, how do you stay in a luxury and you say you are poor and struggling? I mean, it does not make sense to a lot of Africans. So those are the three things we usually wonder about the United States. There are things that even if you explain to a normal African living in Africa, it is very difficult to understand that someone can be unemployed in America, that someone can live in a car and they say they are poor. Those are some of the things that we cannot understand. And other things, actually there are many. It's not just those three. There are many others. Like for example, healthcare. We usually wonder, how can healthcare make someone bankrupt in the United States? You see, even though healthcare is expensive in Kenya, normal healthcare in the United States can make someone bankrupt. And we usually wonder, how does normal healthcare, someone just going to be admitted for 1 week, make someone bankrupt? You know, we've heard of people getting admitted for 4 days, and the hospital bill comes to about $100,000 and there was no surgery. And here, someone just gets admitted even for 1 week and the hospital bill is $100. And then they are well, and then they are attended to by the expertise. And some of the nurses that are getting out of this country, coming to the United States, those are the nurses that are attending to us. So the expertise that you have is the expertise that we have. But we can be admitted for 1 week and then we pay $100, but you can be admitted for 4 days and you go bankrupt. In a superpower that should have everything and make some things affordable. These are things we don't understand unless we get some proper explanations from some people there who understand how things go on. We actually don't understand about healthcare. And another thing is about, now these are just random things that we wonder about the US, is about safety. You hear that the US has imposed travel bans to Kenya because Kenya is unsafe, or because there are protests, or it is unsafe for Americans to travel to that country. You see, where I'm taking this video is a very peaceful place. And it's not just this place. It is a large area that is so peaceful that when you walk, you will never hear of anything negative. But you check the US and you see that there was shooting somewhere and very many unsafe things. But you hear America saying that Kenya is unsafe, or maybe an African country is unsafe. But it is indeed America that is unsafe. And you wonder, what are we hearing? What are we hearing? Because we've never seen somebody shoot here. We have never witnessed such kind of a thing. Maybe someone just running and taking your phone. And even that one happens in cities. Where I'm walking, I'm holding a camera worth $1,000. Nobody's coming to take it. Even if I walk on the road, I've been doing travel vlogs and doing this on the road. Nobody's taking it. It is very safe to be here. And you hear them say that it is unsafe to be in that country, do not travel, US citizens should be careful. And you wonder, so those are just some of the things that we wonder. And so Africans who have been wondering about those things, you should also understand that you can also be in the United States and you can be unemployed. Although the unemployment rate is very low, about 4.3%, but you can be in the United States and you can be unemployed. You see? And another thing, you can be in the United States and you can live in the streets. They are normal people who have gone to school and they are homeless. We have seen mentally stable people homeless. It is something we even wonder what is happening. Any mentally stable person in this country, we own lands. We own our ancestral lands. We own our houses. So you should start counting those blessings and looking at them when you are in your own house, seated. There is a person in the US who is working hard and they cannot afford a house. But you have no job, but you are in your own land and you have a house. Those are some of the things that you should look at and say, we have some blessings here. And if you can afford a car, I mean, like me, I'm driving a car that is 9 years old. The car was manufactured in 2017, and I have no problem. I look like I'm doing well in this country. But there are people in the US, if you drive such a car, they consider you poor. Or you can have such a car in the United States, and you cannot even afford a house. So you can live in that car. So you start understanding, if I have a car in this country, I am in a much better position than a person who is in the US. So, you start looking at those contrasts and then you start appreciating where you are. But generally, those are some of the things that we wonder about the United States, because the United States sends a good picture to the world. We know the United States is a superpower. It is a rich country. It is a country with many billionaires. It's a country where you go and your dream is achieved. You will invest in property and you will get a lot of money. And actually, Kenyans who are in the US, they send a lot of money back home. So we look at America as a very advanced economy. We cannot imagine that someone can be there, can be unemployed, can lack a home, and can struggle to live in a safe neighborhood. Those are the things we usually wonder. So for Africans, those are some of the things that should make you count your blessings. Don't think that we are in a very worse off place. We also have our own advantages, but our political and economic situation is very bad. That is why we desire to be where they are. So if we can work collectively to improve our political and economic accountability, we can advance. But because, as I have said in my previous video, Africans, we have a problem. The sub-Sahara Africa, there is indeed a very big problem with our mentation and the general approach to life. So appreciate where you are. Thank you for listening to me. This is Gidi Akali, and we shall meet again in another one. Peace.